Hey Lauren, today on my way to Kennesaw, and now that I'm here and everything, I want to tell you a quick story about when I crossed over the train tracks and I had to hop a fence with my bike.
Yeah.
I had like a 300 moment, like the movie. I had to go like, and like with one hand I had to lift my bike over a barbed wire fence. And I did it.
While you were jumping over it?
While I was halfway up the fence, I had to pull my bike over and then pull it with one arm, holding on to something to keep myself stable. And with my feet poked into the little fence things, because these shoes are so slippery, like the little holes in the fence, I had to like shove my feet like ice climbing or something. Like the only thing that is keeping me in is pressure. It was like a awesome moment.
You should do CrossFit. You'd be really good at it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. I'm standing outside one of the final doors that will let me into the commons so that I can do laundry. It's a Sunday morning. It's before 9 o'clock. I woke up at 8 this morning so that I could get here and finish this little responsibility before I go out and bike to Lilburn, which upon completing that little task as well, which I'm going there to hang out with my dog Lucky. My parents are out of town visiting my grandmother. But upon completing that task, I will have biked 300 miles plus this week, which I think is great. And so a lot of the process of getting into the commons in order to do laundry involves waiting. And it's definitely a test of patience and perseverance in a very dull and lame way. And so right now I'm waiting for someone to come through these doors so that I can go through them as soon as they pass. And then I'll have to wait at one more door to finally get in. And I brought all my clothes with me. Got a pretty heavy backpack. I've literally gone through all my socks and underwear, which is always the indication that laundry needs to be done. And I brought with me my sheets today for my bed, so I'll be able to make those clean and everything as well, which would be nice because I haven't cleaned those since I got here, so that's a couple months of griminess, so that'll be nice. And I figured that it'd be better to wait here, do something productive, rather than just wait here and stare at the door as if it's going to open up by sheer force of will. And so, real quickly, I plan on recording a lot today because I'm going to be going to Lilburn, and since I will be by myself aside from the company that Lucky will give me, I plan on recording. But quickly, I wanted to talk about the Living Walls project that's going on right now that I've been going to now every day since it started, which has only been 2 days, but it's been an amazing 2 days. And it's been just this awesome project to follow and keep up with and everything. There's these two artists, Vladimir and Alex, I believe, or Alexis, something, some permutation of the name Alex. And these guys are from Ukraine, and really, really cool style art that is sort of tells some story, although the way in which it does it is very abstract, very like Dali meets Escher kind of style. Like the strangeness of Dali combined with like the architectural hard to wrap your mind aroundness of Escher. And so I've been going there every day. I've been trying to really get to know these Ukrainian guys because they remind me so much of Maxime. And I really miss talking to Maxime when I'm around around these Ukrainian guys. One guy in particular, Vladimir, looks a lot like Maxim, or at least more than the other guy does from Ukraine. And so I've been going there, and the first day I went there, I talked to this girl. I talked to two girls. One of them was more like personal and like introductory. We were actually talking about ourselves. But this other girl I talked about too, we were talking about like life and stuff like that in Japan, and it got pretty deep pretty quick. And I was really urging her to go to Japan, because she was saying that she's like really into music and punk and everything like that. And the punk scene in Japan has always fascinated her, because it seems like really, really underground and hard to find and everything. And at the same time, she wants to explore that and sort of expose it to a degree. And she was like telling me all this stuff, and I was like, that sounds like a great preface for a book. You should go to Japan as like an investigative journalist and like find out the answers to these questions, and that would be the reason you could go do that, because I think she was kind of bored with her life. She may not be, but I don't know. It's hard, because I've realized people are two-faced to a very large extent, especially when they have a first interaction with like a stranger. Basically, by that I mean like she was concerned about how I would judge her based on what she said, which is not something I ever take into consideration. Well, that's not true, but not with someone who's my age, who I have nothing to lose, to say anything to. Every time I hear a noise behind me, which is the blowing of the wind, I hope that it's someone coming to open these doors. So if you hear any pauses in here, that's because I'm turning around trying to find people. Anyway, though, we talked, and I urged her to go to Japan, and we were talking about the difficulty of learning Japanese and everything, and I made this comment that I meant fairly innocently, that, like, if you were 20 or in your 20s, you could never really master the language. And by that, I guess I should have given more of a definition to what I meant by master, because she was like, well, I'm 30, so I don't know what that says about me, which was a very self-defeatist kind of statement. And I didn't remember at the time, but I wish I had, that Leonardo da Vinci didn't do his, monumental work until he was in his 30s. So, that's not to say that all genius blooms early. Sometimes it flourishes late. And so I think I was both an inspirer and a detractor of that wish for her to travel. And that was the first day I got there. I wasn't there for very long, because it was the night was approaching, and they can't really paint very much. Sneeze. They can't paint as well when it's dark, obviously. And so everyone left, and I told them I'd come back tomorrow, which was yesterday now. And when I went there today, it was very, very cool. They made a ton of progress. It's amazing. They've been working on it for 2 days, and the rough outline, they've already gotten into detailing, like a large majority of the figures and the shapes and everything like that. And it's really, really coming together. I think they're here for 2 weeks, maybe? This is speculation, I don't remember. But if they have done this much work already in just 2 days, then it's going to be amazing to see what else they do with the time that they're here, because they had been commissioned only to do half, or one side of the wall of a building over in East Atlanta Village next to the Earl. And the building obviously has 4 walls. It's a square. And if they finish on this one wall, I think Monica, the leader of Living Walls, is going to ask them to continue on to another, which would be really, really cool. And as I've been biking around into new and uncharted parts of Atlanta, I've seen the fruits of Monica's labor with all the different locations that Living Walls pieces are featured and everything. And it's been really cool to feel like I'm a small part of that right now. And yesterday, when I went there, I met Trek Matthews, who is a artist who was featured in the last, edition of the Living Walls project with La Pindia. And he's a really cool guy. I really enjoyed talking with him. We started talking about bikes and stuff, typical guy-type introductions, as if we need them. and just started talking for a long time about everything. And he's traveled to Germany, and we talked about that, and Western civilization, talked about art, talked about going to Georgia State, which we both do. And he had a really cool perspective. And, I'm interested in talking to artists and stuff like that, especially good artists like Trek, because I want to see fundamentally what is so unique about them, especially contrasted with myself, like their personality quirks, what they do, what they say, things like that. And Trek was a very approachable guy, and I like that. A very cool dude. He was talking a lot about how he is a art major here at Georgia State, and he has decided not to go into graphic design because graphic design here at State is very corporately focused, and so a lot of the work and everything he would have to be doing would be for, I guess, from a business aspect, which he's not really down with. And I mentioned to him, it seemed like he'd already kind of found his niche, and he said that was true. And so I understood completely when he was saying that he had decided not to go into this program at the chagrin, to the disappointment of many of his teachers who thought that he would excel in it, which I'm sure he would, but his explanation and his defense as to why he didn't want to were completely reasonable and understandable, and very symptomatic of the way I have felt now during my time at Georgia State, because I've also struggled a lot with my major and what I should devote my time with, and whether or not the aspect of my major that I actually like is the aspect that Georgia State will focus on. And so since he has his own, idea of what he wants to do with his art, it's pretty much pointless to put in the extra effort towards something that is ultimately not what he wants to do. And he knows that already, so there's no guesswork involved with that. And so we talked for probably at least 30 minutes, and this is the first time I've ever spoken with him. And it's been awesome because, before I go on my bike rides, I see Grandpa a little bit, and it really opens up my mind because I feel this understanding comes over me, wherein I realize that chemicals, just a small amount of chemicals, can utterly revolutionize your consciousness. And then, so to that degree, your consciousness is malleable. And so if you can focus on the fact that your consciousness is malleable, then you can realize that any rules or restrictions or insecurities that you feel ensnared by are ultimately those that you have made for yourself, by yourself. And the only way to untangle them is to go and fly in direct contradiction and opposition of them. And, test the boundaries. And as soon as you realize that the boundaries don't exist, it's all just a mental construct, and it's the way that you're, policing yourself, then I think you can realize a lot about people in general, but yourself specifically. And so I've been going to this Living Walls little exhibit, and the girl who I spoke to about going to Japan, I'd never met her, yet we had a really meaningful conversation and a good exchange that was honest for the most part and as true as it could be. And I didn't have any shame or hesitation or nervousness in having that conversation. And then I talked to Trek as well. Same kind of fashion, free flow conversation, friendly, And so I just realized, I think I could travel abroad alone and not worry about loneliness, I feel like I would be able to get along with people. I think I know how to do that now. Being in Japan opened the box, a sliver. And it's my job now that I've returned to the United States around people who I can communicate with meaningfully on a daily basis to continue to pry that box open as wide as I can. A box can typically only be opened 180 degrees, if not a little bit more, depending on the hinges of the box itself. But I'm going to try to open this box so far that it creates an impossible angle, 360-degree opening. So basically collapses in on itself. That's what I'm striving for. And, little things like this, going to events that interest me and not having fear not having the fear to talk to people and to express myself however I'd like. That's part of the process of really opening up that box. And so today, I'm also planning on going by the Living Walls project. I'm not really sure what time I'll head back from Lilburn. I have this image in my head that it'll be around 5 or so, maybe 3, depending on when I get into state. I'm still waiting. I have to sneeze again, though. Anyway, I'm not really sure when I'll get over there, but I think I'll definitely get over there before nightfall, which is all that really matters, and then I'll be able to talk to someone perhaps new or perhaps old. It's like the Girl Scouts song, one is silver and the other gold. Make new friends but keep the old. And on top of that, there is a company party tonight at Twain's in Decatur for Whole Foods, which I haven't really decided if I'll go to that or not. That starts at 8. I'm not riling to go to that by any means. They have, I think, free food and stuff like that, but I don't really think there will be anything there that I would want to eat. I haven't had alcohol for a really long time, since starting to see Grandfather. I had one beer, I think, when Josh and I went to the mountains together. After that long, long day, I had a beer, and that was more of like a celebratory thing, more of a nominal beer, just to share with Josh a beer, But aside from that, I haven't really had any alcohol, and I don't plan on having any anytime soon. It just is it's just not the way I want to feel right now these days. And the social aspect, I don't know, I might stop by. I haven't decided. It's not a priority. And so only if I get the urge to go after having gone to Living Walls will I actually commit to doing so. And here I am still at the foot of the brothel, waiting to be let in. This is the longest I've ever had to wait at this specific door, which I'm not surprised because, again, I don't know if I've said this, but it's a Sunday morning, and it's like it's probably 9 o'clock now, actually. It's probably just now 9 o'clock. And so I don't think very many students are awake yet who are here. And of those who are awake, obviously none so far have been wanting to leave the Commons. Let me check to see what time it is exactly. 9:03. That's good. That's not bad. I wanted to get here and get out before 11 and hopefully be on the trail towards Lilburn by 12. But, can't really control that to a finite degree. I'm doing the best I can at the moment, being here early. Although, I guess I could have slept a little bit longer. But, there's still promise that someone will come out in the next few seconds. It's just sort of what I've been banking on now for a while. And now that it's 9 o'clock, I think it's a better chance someone will come down here. And now I have to make the decision whether to sit outside and read my Peace Corps manual. Oh, that's another thing I'll have to talk about. I'll either talk about that now or later, depending on if someone opens these doors soon. But I have to decide whether to sit outside in the smoker's pit, which is very nostalgic of the time when I was a freshman here, or have to go up to the 14th floor and sit up there in the highest tower of the Commons, which, I think I'll probably actually just end up doing both. Maybe sit, since I have to do 2 cycles anyway, one of washing, one of drying. I'll sit outside for one, and I'll sit up top, the 14th floor, for the other. So I'm going to go ahead and go now, start another clip, talk about the Peace Corps, and hopefully these doors will open before I manage to do that. The doors have yet to open, and so I'll just continue to make use of this time in the best way that I know how, given the means that I brought with me in order to do so in the event that such an occurrence took place, which is exactly what is happening. And so, why not take this opportunity to talk about the Peace Corps? Yesterday, as I was talking a second ago about talking with Trek, we were talking about sort of our goals and everything, and he asked me what I was doing at State, and I told him that I was psychology/Japanese student here, and that I, obviously had gone to Japan, which has become a much more used talking point recently when I meet people of interest. I like it. It's the ace in the hole, as they say. It's a good little catalyst for good conversation. And so I told him a little bit about wanting to go into the Peace Corps, which is what I told him was my aim after graduating from State. And that's definitely very, very true. I've become very serious about the idea of joining the Peace Corps recently. I think the idea was originally put in my head because of my roommate Julie, I think she was talking about it, which inspired me to do a little bit of research about what they were about. Because obviously, I think everyone knows of that organization, And I see a car now coming, which means in a matter of moments I'll probably be let in. So this may not be a complete thing. Yeah, please. Thank you. Thanks. That was actually pretty cool.
Yeah. It was fun.
Thanks, Josh, but that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, you're welcome for the information. It's hard to go that high. Try to hit
Like high C?
yeah, high G. Yeah, that's exactly the note.
I'm now on the 13th floor, actually. 14th was occupied. 13th floor of the highest tower of the University Commons dormitories. And I put my laundry into the machine, and now I'm just waiting 27 minutes until it's done, at which time I'll go switch them out and then go sit outside. It's been a slow day here, man. It's never taken so long to get inside. But again, that's to be expected. And I was actually let in before that car where I previously was talking about before in the last clip. I got cut off because there was a girl that came out and asked me if I wanted to get let in. And I said yes, and I thanked her and everything. And so now here I am. It took a long time to get into this building as well, which is the very last door. And so I'm waiting. Going to this floor first was definitely the right idea, because it would be horrible to be stuck outside for like 15 minutes waiting to get back in just so I could wait again at the other door to get back into this building to switch my laundry to the dryer. So it's good that I wait here now. stretch my legs, look out at the glorious view. I can see Stone Mountain in front of me, a bunch of cellular towers. The clouds are moving really fast. The wind today is supposed to be really bad. Like, they said gusts of up to 40 miles an hour, which I could believe that would be true if I was like in between buildings, because there have been some powerful gusts when I've ridden on Peachtree and all. And those kind of gusts were what inspired me to buy a pair of pants. But hopefully on my ride home to Lilburn, the wind will be severely cut because it'll be over a larger area. So rather than being like funneled through the wind tunnel that is created when buildings are, I guess, butting up against the street, hopefully with, again, that expanded surface area, it'll be a little bit more tolerable. And now, as I'm thinking about what I'm going to do later, I think I might do a lap around Stone Mountain just for posterity's sake. Hey, Josh. So, I was talking about the Peace Corps, and I had gotten as far as to say that Julie was my inspiration for looking into it further and really trying to inquire about whether or not this is something I might want to do in my future. And so, I did the typical research on the internet first, just kind of getting an idea of what the whole program was about, what the mission was, if it was politically affiliated or had any sort of larger message other than the service itself. And I'm sure it does to a degree, but largely I would say that it's a pretty free agency that doesn't have any sort of aim other than to help in a way that is good for the country that I guess they are in, the Peace Corps, that is. And so I did a little bit of research there, and then I went and had a meeting with the director for the Atlanta branch a couple of weeks ago, I guess now. And we talked about what the Peace Corps is and everything. He and I share the same name, and so that seemed an auspicious coincidence to me. And he had spent time in Ecuador and everything, and we talked for probably 20 minutes or so, and the whole time I was listening to him speak, I just couldn't really understand why he had come back to the United States and not continued to travel, unless it was sort of an exhaustive process. And though it was extremely rewarding and fulfilling, maybe when he came back he was not wanting to go back out again. Maybe he became more thankful and aware of all that he had or something. But either way, that's been a common thing, just, I guess, also people's emphasis on family and, starting a family yourself and starting a regular job and everything, which I'd like to talk about that after this, because I feel like I've had a few realizations about my future in terms of family and things like that, in terms of starting my own family anyway. And so I met with him. His name was Ken something. And recently, this past week, I guess maybe Thursday, was it Thursday? Maybe Friday, I biked over to East Point, where they were having a informational meeting that was being held by a recruiter named Becky. And I got there really late because I thought that the place was much, much closer than it was. It turned out to be a little over a 10-mile bike ride one way just to get there. And it was way down in East Point, very close to the airport. And when I got there, it was a good little, 30 minutes that I had left by the time I got there. And there were two volunteers who were from Jamaica, two people who had volunteered in both Jamaica and Uganda. And then I think Becky herself, the recruiter, had volunteered in Malawi. And I showed up and I was sweaty and I don't know, definitely in a different kind of physical shape than everyone else in that room. And I felt like I was ready to go to another country at that moment. It's just, if I could have signed up right then to go the next day, I would have done it. Just felt charged. And so I talked to everybody there, and again I utilized that that lack of fear concept in talking to other people, which I heard not too long ago, although it probably was a couple years, that the fundamental reason people are afraid of speaking to other people and breaking down that wall, that barrier of communication, is because I guess evolutionarily speaking, there was always the potential that someone else could eat you and kill you. And so if you're on display in front of a bunch of people, in a biological sense, you are sort of vulnerable to the possibility that people will want to gang up and eat you, which is a little bit ridiculous, obviously, in the context of modern civilization and everything like that. But I'm sure to one degree or another has some truth in evolutionary history. But anyway, at this information session, I was able to talk to the two people who had traveled abroad, as well as the recruiter, and it wasn't very well attended. And it was interesting because when I was biking out there, I was thinking, why on earth would they hold it all the way out here? Are they trying to reach a demographic of people who usually wouldn't have access to an event like this? Because maybe I thought, there's a lot of, it's very rural, or at least it seems like it, very below the poverty line out in East Point, and it's definitely overwhelmingly African American. And so I thought maybe they were trying to appeal to a different demographic, and that perhaps that demographic would show up in force. But there was not a single African American there who was a East Point resident. It was 2 white ladies, myself, and that was it. The rest of the people who showed up were already volunteers in the Peace Corps. The woman who went to Jamaica was African American, but again, she obviously wasn't someone who had come from the surrounding area. So that was kind of perplexing. But I really like that area, and it might take the stead of me biking to Decatur, because biking out to East Point is about the same distance away as biking to Decatur, but it's a lot less stale. And Decatur has definitely grown quite stale to me. But anyway, I got a bunch of information and everything, and I have Becky's card, and I was able to stay with her and talk after the session was over a little bit. Express to her my sincerity and desire to really put a lot into this goal to join the Peace Corps and everything, and told her that I was very serious about it, and that we would probably get to know each other over the course of the next year or so, because she is the recruiter for Atlanta, I guess. And I feel, I don't know, her personality, she reminds me of Ellen DeGeneres, except maybe a less self-confident Ellen DeGeneres. I felt like she was very fragile, and my personality can be very, very abrasive. I know that that's 100% true, and I know I can be very intimidating. And, I look people directly in the eyes while I speak to them. And I don't do that in a threatening kind of way, but I think it's hard for people to perceive it at first as I think it's hard for people to understand from what direction I'm coming from when I do, approach someone and look them in the eyes and everything, which is exactly how I spoke to Trek the other day as well. And I felt like he had a little bit of, not difficulty, but I felt like maybe he doesn't oftentimes look directly into people's eyes when he speaks and everything, because his eyes were a little shifty, which has always been an interesting characteristic to see whether or not someone has the ability to keep eye contact, or if they have to look away from time to time. I remember when Brittany and I started dating, eye contact was very important to me, and we would just there'd be periods where we would just stare into each other's eyes for, seconds, 15, 30 seconds. And that may not sound like much, but that is, if you're just staring into someone's eyes, that's a lot of time. Time is relative anyway. And so when you're doing something that intimate, like searching someone's eyes, 30 seconds can seem like a lifetime almost. Oh, and so I have in my lap currently a brochure, sort of more like an informational packet, just about the piece of cord that I've been nibbling on for the past couple days since getting it from Becky the other day. And I intend on finishing it today, although it depends. No, I probably will finish it today because I have the entirety of the dry cycle as well to try and read the whole thing. But I'm already, 15 pages in, and it's not like it's difficult to read or anything. I just haven't had the time yet to devote to sitting down to actually getting through it, which so far I've really enjoyed. It's a really interesting program. It sounds like it opens up a lot of opportunities, and not only opportunities for like employment with companies or anything like that, but also opportunities to continue to serve should I want to when I return, which I think I will. So I'm going to hit 2 more points, and then I'm going to start reading it. One of the points, which is applicable to the topic at hand, is there's this thing that they do for people when they return to the United States after they have served their 27-month period, which is they give them $6,000 as what they call a readjustment fee. Not really fee, but they give you, it's a gift. So that you can, get back on your feet, and they say that it's yours to use however you'd like. And so, what I want to do with that is travel the United States. I want to buy a motorcycle and go across the country. And I do think I want to do a motorcycle, although now that I'm thinking about it, maybe a bicycle would be even better. But I definitely want to travel within the United States with that money when I return. And then, maybe do that for 6 months or so. And then, 6 months is a long time, probably not that long. But some time frame like that. And just travel, go back to Wyoming, go back to the Rockies, travel west, definitely travel west. I'd like to go through maybe Montana. I'd maybe reread Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance again and figure out what route, what's his name? Robert Persig? Something, whatever his name is, whatever route he took. Because I really like the way he described it. It sounded like something I'd be down with seeing. And so that's that. And then my last point is a realization that I've had about family recently. And this is, I think, partially because of working at Whole Foods, which Whole Foods is another topic entirely that I want to talk about, because that job is affording me an opportunity and experience to do far more than anything that I signed up to do. And that's definitely because of a conscious effort on my part to make it work for me in that way. But I'll talk about that in a moment. And the first, I want to say that family and, responsibilities, animals, all these things that weigh you down. Like, if I was in a relationship right now, or if I had an animal that I was taking care of, or a child, God forbid, heaven forbid, a child right now, my life would be so utterly different. Like, right now, my life is just, I can steer it in whatever direction I see fit. And I'm really taking advantage of that, biking every day and, kind of having these adventures every single day, which is awesome. And I don't really look around and see anyone else doing this. And I feel like it's a very precious thing, but I also feel like it's because I have sacrificed, a lot of things, but it's not an unhappy sacrifice. Like, I very much so willingly give up these things, not having a relationship with a woman, not really seeking out hanging out with friends as a source of entertainment. I go to work, I come back, I spend maybe an hour or two kind of recouping from standing up for 8 hours and talking to people, and then I head out on my bike, and I bike for a few hours, and then I'll come back and, eat, recoup, go to sleep, repeat. And then on my days off, I have a little bit more flexibility with what I want to do and what I can do, as I'm doing now. And so, it's just, I feel like if you have a family young or anything like that, it really severely truncates the ability that you have to, live an exploratory kind of life, like, figuring out who you are in relation to other people by being alone, and then also by being with other people. And there's nothing wrong with people who are with other people. Everyone has a preference, and everyone has different things that make them happy. But I just know for sure that there's also a societal pressure to follow the well-established route of what conventionally is thought to make one happy and to make one's life fulfilling. And I'm very critical of what that model is, I guess, especially at this point in my life when I feel like all these opportunities are, laid at my feet, but they depend tremendously on my ability to be flexible and to have a very open and free availability, which is what I have. And that's not to say I have any idle time whatsoever, because I fill it all with things, whether it's something like this, recording, or something as simple as, researching the 5 areas of China that the Peace Corps services, So it's just never a moment of idle waste. There's no wasted time here. But that also leaves open the opportunity to use that time in any constructive way that I see fit. And so I'm very suspicious or very skeptical currently about starting a new relationship or even moving towards an eventual marriage or anything like that. I have no desire whatsoever to even attempt to begin that path. And that's not to say that it will change in a number of years, but I just know for now that I'm very content not participating in that, and I feel all the better for it. And I can't help but say that I feel bad for people who are already kind of locked down, but they probably feel bad for me for being alone. So I think that balances out, and I think as long as we can mutually respect each other, which I have no problem respecting anyone for anything, then it's all good. But I can't help but continue to cultivate this idea that, for what I want out of life, which I'm pretty sure I know what I want, I need to be alone for that. I need to have the flexibility to be able to plan my day-to-day life around myself. And I think that's where I'll leave it for now. Someone's calling me or something, so I need to talk to them on my phone. And then my laundry will be done soon. So, you'll hear from me again soonly.
I wish, man. I wish I had as good as titties of her, too. Of her. I have to worry about it.
We are from Mexico. We don't know where next to go.
Wait, I gotta find the clip.
I don't. I come from St. Guadalupe, Coyicha.
I'm sitting at the Georgia State Commons again, although today is now another day. It's no longer Sunday, but I am here again doing laundry. Today's Tuesday, April 24th, and it's 10:12 a.m. And I'm out in the smoker's circle, again reliving a little bit of nostalgia, really basking in the sun. And I've been reading this book again that my mom got me. It's called The Intellectual Devotional, The Intellectual Devotional, which doesn't really flow very well to say. And I've been talking on the phone to my parents a little bit. I talked to Josh. He and I are going to go for a bike ride a little later today, which I'm really excited about. It'll be relatively short, probably less than 10 miles, but that'll probably be a fairly healthy bike ride for him. And it'll be fun because I know some good routes that we can take to get from his house in Grant Park over to my place in Midtown without having to go on like major highways and roads that would be stressful for him and everything. We can go through neighborhoods. It'd be pretty. Today's a pretty day. It's been windy as hell here for the past 2 days and pretty goddamn cold. But now it's starting to warm up again and the wind has really died down. And I'm able to sit out here outside and just soak up the sun and not feel too cold in doing so. People are moving about all around me, and interesting to see who occupies this building now. There's a bird in this little space of grass next to the smoker's circle who I think is trying to mate. It's cool because I just read an entry in the Intellectual Devotional about Aristotle, who was one of the triumvirate Greek great minds that gave birth to Western civilization as we know it today. And he definitely championed, using observation to attain knowledge. And so I was watching this bird do this little mating dance where it would take 2 hops forward, raise its wings maybe 30 degrees, and then raise it 45 degrees. And it was just this weird little display he looked like he was putting on. And it has to be a mating dance, I would think. This bird had he had a pattern on his wings that looked like 2 big eyes of white, which I know can be used for protection against predators as well. But in this sort of a show, it seemed like he was trying to attract someone by his pretty dance and pretty wings. And so that's another thing that's occupying my mind. Yesterday, because it was so windy and coldy, I'll leave that there. Coldy sounds good. I didn't go for an extended bike ride. I ended up biking 5.55 miles and just not even recording it in my bike log, just because who cares about 5 miles. I ended up rearranging my room, which was really, really satisfying and a fun thing to do. I was doing some severe multitasking. I'd spent maybe an hour or so trying to fix a virus on my computer, which I haven't really made too much headway doing. I put screens on our windows in this little auxiliary room that is adjacent to the main part of our apartment, which the girls really, I think, appreciate because now the bugs aren't getting in. Because I like to leave the door open, especially at night, just to let this cross breeze come in. There's a window in the living room, and if you open the door in this auxiliary room, it creates this suction effect, and so effectively fresh air is pushed in and out of our apartment, and it's really, really nice. And I like to do it because it makes me feel like you're giving the apartment a wind bath or something. It's really refreshing. But there haven't been screens on the windows, and so bugs have been getting in, and the girls really don't like bugs, and I don't really care about bugs, and I haven't been bothered by any. But Julie told me the other day that there were some bugs in the refrigerator, which I thought was funny. And then Erica told me the other day that she thought she had been bit by 10 mosquitoes, which I thought was probably an exaggerated number. But even if it was only one, I should still be, aware of the fact that there's some sort of a conflict between what I wanted to do and what they wanted to do, and that the best form of mediation and resolvement resolving that would be to get screens on the windows. And so I had remembered the other day that Erica had said that she thought that the windows used to have screens on them, which made me think that maybe they had just fallen off, like in a breeze or something like that. So I went down to the bottom floor of where our apartment is, and there was a plethora of screens that I got to choose from. And so I took the screen, installed some screws, and Viola. We have screens now. And so I did a lot of this type of stuff for my afternoon and everything. Very productive feeling, very different than what I've been doing on the whole lately with all the biking and everything that I've been doing. This was a much more fast-paced, yet not stagnant or sedentary, but definitely uni-focused day. I just did things around the house, and I feel all the better for it. It was good for my legs to rest. It was good for my mind to not have to go and deal with the same thing that it's been dealing with for the past, few months or whatever. And before I went to bed, I filled out an application to teach English to refugees in Clarkston, which I think is going to be a really good experience. The bird that was doing its mating dance just flew by. I think that'll be a really good experience for me to teach English like that. There is 3 primary ethnic groups that are serviced by this specific program, and I think it's people from Bhutan, people from Burma, and people from Iraq, which I was under the impression that Clarkston was full of people mostly from Ethiopia and some Southeast Asian, like island countries. Because when I bike home to Lilburn, I bike through Clarkston, and the majority of the people that I see out and about tend to be this very specific Asian-looking type of group, and then African, but very distinctly Ethiopian. And that holds true if you go all the way on East Ponce from Stone Mountain. You'll go to the DeKalb Farmers Market, which is almost exclusively owned and operated by Ethiopians, it seems, although I think the true owners are Indian or something like that. But regardless, there's a very large Ethiopian population in Clarkston, and there's even quite a few Ethiopians that work at Whole Foods in general, but mine as well in particular. And so it's interesting to not have for sure knowledge that I will be teaching Ethiopian people, but perhaps I will. I mean, they said that those are the dominant groups, Burmese, Bhutan and Iraq, but they didn't say that they were the only. So we'll see about that. And I feel like there was something else that I did recently, yesterday. I can't recall at the moment. 7-minute clip already. I'm waiting for my comforter and all to get done washing, relaxing in the sun. What was it? There was something else semi-important. Oh, yeah, okay, TEFL certification. Georgia State offers a route to become certified with the TEFL program. And this is something that I figured out through reading all my Peace Corps literature recently, that is a good thing to have if you wish to, join the Peace Corps. Just because it's a certification that allows you to be able to teach people in other countries. And so through Georgia State, I can take maybe 5 classes or so. And at the completion of these classes, I'll be certified to teach. And so I'll have a very strong application, I believe. And I've already signed up for the first of these classes, which is a prerequisite for the rest. And I'm really happy about that, because I will then have the experience I had in Japan, teaching students there through Soka University. Hopefully I'll have the experience of teaching people here in Atlanta and Clarkston, if all goes well with that. And then on top of all those 2 experiences, I will be certified as a 23-year-old college graduate already, with a certificate that says that I can competently teach people English in other countries. So I'm feeling good about that. I'm really gearing up my pursuits so that I can enter the Peace Corps and have a strong application so that I can appear to be, and truly be at the same time, a strong candidate for deployment. And I feel very good about that. I think that if I end up getting this Radiolab internship, which I really haven't given much thought to recently, I'm going to have to turn it down because at this point I don't really want to put off graduating any longer. Because although going to New York to work at Radiolab would be a great experience, I don't really think that's the experience that I want next to my life. I think that's going to be a lot more of what I've had already in the past in terms of comforts and, challenges and everything. It's a challenging environment, no doubt, but it's a business, Western industrialized country kind of challenge. And I want something much more difficult than that, much more, intensive than that, something that I get my hands dirty doing. And so I think that if I do hear back from them and they say that I have this position, if I would like it, I think I'm going to have to turn it down. And I feel good about that. I'll just gear everything towards the Peace Corps and not have to think about where to put my life after those 2 years of the Peace Corps are over. Just really pour myself into the moment of being there and everything else. But for the moment, at least, my clothes and everything should be done. So I'm going to walk back inside, get the hell on, and go back to my home. Josh and I are going to go biking sometime around 12 or something like that. And so, time to go eat some food and relax a little bit more, check some mail and shit, and keep on keeping on. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Not even joking.
I believe you.
Ian, what's your greatest aspiration? Is the silence intentional? Are you building up suspense, or are you trying to say you don't have anything to say?
It's an existential statement. The silence.
Well, then let's observe that again.
Yay, John Glass, answer the damn question.
He did answer it, sir.
Here's what I gotta say, man. This grinder is fucking jammed.
Is that a metaphor, sir?
Saying it's the jam, like it's really cool.
Yeah, not exactly, bro.
Do you mind to clarify?
Hold on. Oh, it's not jammed anymore, bro. We're good.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta twist it.
Would you say that you become more dexterous or less dexterous thanks to chronic grinding?
You say, what does dexterous mean?
Not talking about sugar.
Dexter? Laboratory, bro?
Have you become more like Dexter?
Yes, bro.
Have you become more like Dexter, yes or no?
In the sense that I have a laboratory, or...
This is an open-ended question. You can answer it however you like.
I don't know what to say. So...
I had an open-ended sandwich the other day. It was so good.
Did it just keep coming?
Yeah. Well, actually, it was open-faced. Oh, my bad. Actually, didn't eat it. It got gross, so I threw it away. Oh, motherfucker. What I paid for it.
I saw Nikki here the other day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she asked me to check out the tricycle.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty broken.
It seems utterly cashed.
It's like the metal is completely destroyed.
That's what I said to her. I was like, I don't think that it's a matter of going to Sopo or to going somewhere else. It's like a matter of a metallurgist.
Hey! Yeah, broken things.
That's what I heard. Nikki was very well versed in your line of logic as to why it was not specifically your fault.
I didn't what?
Because it was going to break eventually. She told me in words that were almost identical to the words you told me.
Oh, yeah.
Why it broke, how it broke, and how it wasn't necessarily your fault.
Is that the clock? Yeah, that should hurt my hands.
You need to practice.